And the moderator for this session is Ambassador Nagmana Hashmi. She served as Pakistan's ambassador in China, Belgium, European Union and NATO. Her last assignment was in China 1 year back, and now Ambassador Moinul Haq is here in China as our ambassador. Our today's session chairman is my very dear friend, a very proactive chairman, I must say. I experienced many journals actually in different capacities, but running an organization like WAPDA is not an easy task. And whatever he is doing, he did in the last 3 years, and why his actually services extended for another 5 years. I must commend his valuable services for WAPDA. I experienced many of his projects, and he is amazing. I requested him to join us as the second chairman for this session. General Muzammil Hussain, please join us here. He's purely a corporate person actually. He's no more an army person. The second part of this session is very interesting. Angro Corporation is the largest corporate organization in Pakistan, in my opinion. The work they did, not only to expand in different industries, but what they did for different communities. And recently I visited their one project of Dawood Foundation in Karachi. It's a science center actually. This will be inaugurated soon and open for public. Commendable services by them. And my very dear friend and brother, Samad Dawood, is here. I specially requested him for a conversation. He's the vice chairman of Angro Corporation. Samad is here. Samad, please join us at the head table. When you are inviting and hosting Samad, so this is very tough task to engage someone equal to Samad, or maybe better than Samad. So he is none other than our very own Sayyid Waqarul Islam, the CEO and director of Jafar Business Group. By the way, this is not the same Jafar. So first part is conversation with Khalid Mansoor and Ambassador Nagmana Hashmi, followed by conversation with Samad and Waqarul Islam, and followed by session chairman address. There are few actually organizational hurdles also. Because of the president arrival at 4 p.m., our request to both conversation panelists is to do it only for 25 minutes, followed by 10 minutes address of General Muzammil, and next we will follow the same time management for the next session. And at 4 p.m. we will be reassembled at the main Sheesh Mahal for the president's session. Over to you, Ambassador Nagmana Hashmi.
Mr. Chairman, SAPM, other panelists and ladies and gentlemen, to begin with, I'm delighted to be part of this Nutshell conference. I've been following the events of Nutshell conference for a very long time. In fact, right from its very inception, but I was really not able to attend any of the conferences because I was always posted abroad. So this is my first time that I'm actually participating, and I'm delighted to be here among such eminent people from Pakistan. I would like to welcome SAPM Khalid Mansoor Saab as the new Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on CPAC, and hopefully we also would like to see him as the chairman of CPAC shortly. He knows China very well. He has had long interaction and business interaction with the Chinese. So it'll be very interesting to talk to him about CPAC and to hear his views and his plans on how he wants to take CPAC and this relationship of Pakistan with China in the economic and commercial field forward. But before I hand over the mic to the SAPM, there is one small thing that I wanted to say. Having followed China for 20 years and having been posted there in the early 20s and then in the early 2000s, and then again as ambassador, that a lot of people think that CPAC is that financial agreement that we signed in 2013 and started implementing it in 2015. I think nothing could be further than the reality or the truth. Because CPAC is not just an economic or a commercial undertaking. This concept of connectivity, this concept of friendship is far beyond the scope of just an economic undertaking or a commercial contract. In my view, the connectivity between Pakistan and the very concept of CPAC actually originated when we signed the border agreement with China and finalized our borders with China. That day, we made that strategic decision of connecting the two countries. And in my personal view, and I think CPAC started the day we made the decision to make the Karakoram highway. And the rest of it is history. The rest of the journey is just various aspects and various phases of this connectivity. So while we discuss CPAC, it should be looked at from a broader political and a strategic cooperation on which the destinies of the two nations are, that links the destinies of the two nations. So therefore, with those words, I would like to ask the SAPM to tell us about his views on CPAC, how he sees where CPAC is today, and how does he view the various controversies, both internationally and some that emerge from Pakistan also, and how does he plan to address those and take CPAC forward to its logical conclusion, which is the successful start and implementation of the second phase, which actually is the heart of CPAC. The rest of it was just strategic infrastructure and energy projects. But the second phase of CPAC is what CPAC actually stands for. So over to you, Mr. Khalid.
Well, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. First of all, my sincere thanks to Asfar and his team, because nutshell conferences have always been one of my favorites one. But in the past, I always attended from the private sector. But today, from the other side of the table, I will try to do justice on this very important aspect of CPAC. What I would like to do, first of all, just give you the context, what CPAC had been all about, where it stands today. And then very quickly, I will dwell on some projection as to where it is destined now, which is the phase 2, which Ambassador just mentioned. Well, first of all, we need to understand the overall context of CPAC. And I remember that in 2012, when it was being envisaged, I was still part of the delegation which went to China. And I have been the first witness as to what the scope of the CPAC should be all about. And then on 5th of July 2013, the MOU was signed. I will quickly outline what were the objectives agreed between the two governments. Well, first of all, the key words are bilateral connectivity and regional economic integration in order to explore the potential bilateral investment, economic and trade, logistic, and most importantly, people-to-people connectivity. Then both the governments sat down and they kind of chart out that what's going to be the long-term plan of CPAC from 2015, when it was actually embarked, until 2030. And that really outlines the direction, the ideas, and the goals for the cooperation. Then the communication networks, including roads, railways, fiber optic cables, oil and gas pipelines, and one of the core objectives of China was to link the western part of China, especially the Xinjiang province, all the way to Gwadar. And that's their ancient dream, the Silk Road. and, China-Pakistan economic corridor, or you see One Belt, One Road initiative. Then thereafter, the other critical, understanding was that we will jointly explore the sectoral cooperation and exchanges. I will explain that what the phase 1 was and the phase 2, which just mentioned by Ambassador Nagmana. It is to explore the potential opportunities in the variety of sectors, including agriculture, industrial park, construction, manufacturing, and energy. Then other important key deliverable was the cooperation in education, culture, tourism, media through cultural and government-to-government exchanges, and last but not the least, conduct dialogue and research on economic cooperation and fields of the mutual interest. So this is the overall context of CPEC, which was agreed as part of the MOU signed between the two governments. Then thereafter, there are 3 phases of long-term plan, which is from 2015 all the way 2013. The first one, I still remember, that was the time Pakistan was going through serious power crisis, 16 to 18 hours of load shedding. The economy was basically derailed. Prior to that, we had 6 to 7% of GDP growth. But that was the time when the GDP growth really, deteriorated, and we were experiencing up to 3% of GDP. So the first phase was early harvest and the short-term projects. And in that one, in order to revive the economy, basically, the way I define it, there are 3 areas. Foremost was that we needed to bring in investment in energy and power sector. And most importantly, in our energy fuel mix, that was a very sad story, that any country in the world basically depend on power generation on the cheapest source of fuel, which is coal. And Pakistan on one side was blessed with as the 7th largest, reserve of coal in Thar, but we were not producing even a single megawatt from coal. So there was a need to develop Thar. There was a need to bring in coal into our energy fuel mix and have number of projects which can alleviate the power crisis in the country. And the major challenge was that in order to, at that point in time, develop coal projects, none of the financial institutions, either in North America or in Europe, were willing to really fund such kind of projects. So we had to really resort to our all-weather friend. So this period was defined as a period of market cultivation to alleviate the bottlenecks to the Pakistan economy, and basically just to boost or rail our economy. And then the second target was up to 2025, and the first one until 2020, which is essentially complete now. So in addition to power generation projects, I will shed more details on that one. The other 2 area was the road connectivities and development of Gwadar Port, which is the heart of CPEC. And we will, discuss briefly that what it offers or what it brings to the table. The second period is the period of expansion and development. And this is virtually the phase 2 we are talking about. And, we need to really develop the industrial parks, and then, in the variety of sectors, whether it is agriculture or pharmaceutical or industrial cooperation, information technology, so on and so forth. And when we embark onto the third phase, which is the long-term projects, that is the period of maturity. And that promises to develop and put in place the mechanism for sustainable economic growth and make CPEC ready to play leadership role in the region. Now, very briefly, what phase 1 of the CPEC has accomplished so far. The way I look at it, $53 billion of commitment. And out of that, $16 billion projects are already in place. And these are in these areas. The power projects worth over 5,300 megawatt. First time state-of-the-art HVDC transmission line, and it has just achieved the commercial operation date on the 31st of August. It is connecting Matiari to Lahore. This specific area brought in about $10 billion of investment. Infrastructure, which is road, mass transit, which is Orange Line, and the optical fiber from Hunjarab all the way to Rawalpindi, about 820 kilometers. About 6 billion. Then Gwadar Port itself. It is the Gwadar Port and the free zone and the master plan to develop as one of the modern city of the world. And then lastly, number of socio-economic development. So these are the projects which are already completed worth 16 billion. Then moving on, there are about $9 billion projects which are still in a stage of implementation. That include 3,500 megawatt power project, infrastructure project, and that entails about over 1,100 kilometers of line and Gwadar Airport, more socio-economic project, and these are essentially based on the grant which China has agreed to give to government of Pakistan, and then industrial cooperation, and that is focusing on developing the special economic zones. So there are 9 special economic zones which are earmarked for CPEC. Out of those, there are 4 or 5 which are into active stage of development and operation. Number of projects which are still under consideration. So we have not reached the conclusion between the two governments. These are worth 28 billion. Again, power projects about over 4,000 megawatt, infrastructure roads, a total of 847 kilometers, and another very, very important project, and this very close to my heart, that is ML1. This is the rail line from Peshawar all the way to Karachi. And inshallah ta'ala, you will hear more and more that how we are going to be developing and start executing this project. Gwadar port projects, which is dredging and breakwater, it has to be done. It is such an outstanding port that it can really bring in vessels over 120,000 tons of dead weight. More socio-economic project, and then industrial cooperation, which is special economic zone. So this is the phase 1, and if you ask me, I would say these are essentially complete, because the project which are under implementation, I would see by next year, second or third quarter, they will achieve the final conclusion, inshallah. Then as soon as I was given this job, and given my previous background, I sat with my team, whatever team I have. So we developed a vision that how do we embark onto the phase 2, and we have to dream. And we sat down, we have a very detailed brainstorming session, and then we eventually agreed to this vision statement. It reads as follows: accelerate economic, industrial, technological, and agricultural development of Pakistan through Chinese investment and transfer of technology. So in order to really fulfill this vision or dream, there has to be a strategy. And I am very happy to report to you that the strategy is alhamdulillah in place. It is going to be making investment and populating special economic zone with the industries which are export oriented, be it textile, IT, pharma, etc. Or these are the kind of industries which are going to be doing the import substitution. And the way I dream it, that we would like to be promoting foreign investment and creating, huge local employment opportunities. And the key word is making Pakistan a manufacturing hub. And that is something, which our economy needs to revive. And in order to do that, we have to really create strong linkages with the government entities, state-owned enterprises, private companies, financial institutions, and provinces in China. So I'm very much aligned with the Embassy of China. And in my past experience, I have been dealing with the variety of Chinese EPC contractors, the other companies, the financial institution, etc. So we have to have the connectivity through these, because as soon as we embark onto the phase 2, so that would mean we have to approach all those big companies, persuade them to bring them to Pakistan with a full preparedness. And the full preparedness is the business case, that why on earth the China should invest in Pakistan, and it should be a win-win situation both for China and Pakistan. Well, how we would like to achieve that? We need to create an enabling environment. And in order to do that, there are two-pronged strategy. And I don't know how many people know that there are more than 135 companies operating in Pakistan. And so far, I had the opportunity to meet close to 50 Chinese companies. And there are issues. There are issues whenever you develop the project, make it operational, be it, local project or international project. That is what my professional career has been all about. But now, whatever issues these companies have been really experiencing, we have to immediately resolve that. So you keep on hearing in the newspaper the type of issues these Chinese are having. And I have a good news to tell you that I went to Lahore and Faisalabad, and there are, SME type of industries who are investing over there. They have minor issues, and we facilitated, and they were so thankful that they wanted to come to Islamabad. They wanted to meet the Prime Minister, thank him, and also, made the resolution that they want to double or triple their investment in Pakistan. So that is what the facilitation does, that if you really hear them loud and clear and try to facilitate, that is essentially the role of CPEC authority. And I immediately started to see the results. Now, what is the main objectivity. We really need to make CPEC authority as a one window operation for the investors. So we are trying to organize CPEC in such a manner, and already whatever resource we have made them industry specific assistant. So if anybody come with any sector, that guy should be able to connect with him. And rather than the investors really moving from one window to the other, we should be doing that kind of coordination with the related ministries. And I have full commitment all the way from the Prime Minister that the full cooperation will be given by such ministries. And if there is a need, Prime Minister has given me his assurance that he will intervene as well. Whatever I have seen, the special economic zone, I have about 28 years of experience in Anglo, and good to see Samad over here. So we had also explored the opportunities abroad. So, the first thing was, go and do the due diligence. And I remember one of the projects, which I will keep on regretting, we almost developed a world-scale fertilizer plant to be constructed in Oman, in Sohar. So when we went there, there was one company which was special economic zone, Sohar economic zone, and one company, and I don't remember I contacted anybody else except that company. Allocation of the plot, availability of the required, utilities at the battery limit, various approvals and permits, only one single window. So that is what we need. And in my jargon, the investors would like to come and have plug and play type of environment. So rather than they come here and if we were to make the investment, they're just kind of running around. So this is the way, inshallah, we are going to be creating enabling environment. In addition to that, like the example I have given, that we have to create a facilitation center, and that facilitation center is going to be at 2 locations. The first contact of such investor, and I'm talking about, multiple investors in variety of industries. We have to revive our agriculture sector. Textile has got so much potential. There are so many low-hanging fruits. So at each and every special economic zone, these companies should be fully legally empowered to resolve the issue of the investor there and then. And the recourse I have that, first of all, in order to have the plug and play type of environment, we have to make the special economic zones ready in terms of, supply of electricity, the water and gas, and the supply of such utilities in these special economic zones. And there are, 4 economic zones which are ahead of the remaining 5. The first one is the Rashakai in KP, and then, Faisalabad, and then, Dhabeji in Sindh, and special economic zone in Gwadar. So, the projects are in the various stages of completion, but we really need to expedite so that when investor come, he has all the requisite requirement. So there are, 2 recourses I have, and luckily there are 2 cabinet committees, and one is the cabinet committee on CPEC, and the other one is Pak-China Relationship Steering Committee, and if there are issues, they will be there. So I will take 1 more minute. So just to give you a context that in the last 3 years, the major, there's a perception, I would say, that CPEC has stalled, it has not been making any investment, etc., etc. So I'll just take 30 more seconds. The biggest focus has been on the Western alignment. So there has been a connectivity which is extremely important, north to south, shortest connecting, roads, which will be passing through the most deprived districts of Pakistan, about 1140 kilometers. And there are a number of, projects which are in the advanced stage of implementation, either completed or going to be completed next year. Then there have been, a lot of criticism that CPEC has essentially concentrated on coal-based power projects. But now there are, as I mentioned, almost, 8 to 9,000 megawatt, which are in the renewable, the hydel projects, and the solar projects and the wind projects. Operationalization of Gwadar Port and development of free zone, I think that is going to be a very, very strategic. And I have spent 3 days over there. Number of projects are in the advanced stage. And what we are preparing, the marketing plan and the business plan. Because if we are able to sell Gwadar with a full preparedness, there is no doubt that it will really, turn around the economy of the country. And I'm telling you that if we were to be compared with the regional ports, we have done the competitive analysis, it is going to be one of the best ports. So that is what is being done. So in order to realize the potential, Initially, there was a free zone, only 60 acres, but now the North Zone has already been approved and Prime Minister inaugurated that. It is 37 times more than the first one, 37 times, over 2,200 acres. For industrialization, I have already mentioned Rashakai, and one Chinese company has already started construction over there. Allocation of plots are going on. Allama Iqbal Industrial City in Faistabad, I visited there, and there are, you see, many Chinese companies who are already either invested or they are planning to expand their business. Dhabeji, unfortunately, it is still waiting to get developed. So I have had extremely productive meeting with the Chief Minister of Sindh, Murad Ali Shah, and his entire cabinet. So, they are also focused, and I remember his word. He said that together we have done third, which is success, but Dhabeji should be a replication of that. And then another very important special economic zone, Bostan, which is going to be in the province of Balochistan. So we have, a special economic zone in each and every province. Broadening area of cooperation. So, inshallah ta'ala, very soon we are going to be having the 10 JCC. And I'm happy to report that, new joint working groups, because that is the modality that both the counterpart, they sit and they have a detailed debate that what is going to be the scope in the various sectors we are talking about. So the new sectors which got added are agriculture, socio-economic development, science and technology, and information technology. So these are the areas which are going to be part of the phase 2. I am very passionate, I am committed that inshallah ta'ala you will see in the passing days a lot of progress, lot of positivity, and I would like everybody to go back with full confidence that, you see, CPEC is very much on track, inshallah. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. But before you answer, I would like to seek your indulgence for another 30 seconds, because there is an issue on which I think there is some confusion in the minds of people, because sometimes one statement comes and then another statement comes negating that one. And that is regarding the third party participation in CPEC, allowing the Western countries or other countries in the region who wish to come and set business in our special economic zones, particularly under CPEC.
Got it. Look, you see, and that is the, perception again, so far, I would say more than 7 or 8 ambassadors, they have been to my office. And I was also invited by American consulate. Initially he said that he had some problem with my title. And I said, what was the problem? He said, you are Special Advisor to Prime Minister on CPEC. The title should have been Special Advisor to Prime Minister on Investment. So they said, we also want to really benefit. So I said, I wanted to allay that misconception that even some of the special economic zones, which are kind of earmarked for, CPEC, but there is no restriction whatsoever for any other country to come and make the investment. So German ambassador was there, Austrian was there, Australian came there. And that is what, we would like to be doing, because we are working very closely with BOI, and BOI, has been indulging with the other investors either from Europe or Pakistan. And I remember my last meeting with Prime Minister, and he said that when he was raising funds, the maximum fund for the Shaukat Khanum Hospital came from very prosperous Pakistanis out of Europe and North America. So these, special economic zone, madam, they are open for everybody. And even, the US delegation wanted to come and meet me, and they asked me where should they meet me. And I said, please come to CPEC Authority, because it is absolutely open for any country, any investment from any part of the world.
Well, thank you very much for that clarification, and thank you very much for your very detailed and lucid expose on CPEC and its future. I'm sure all of us here are very comfortable and very assured by your confidence and by your enthusiasm. And I'm
more thing, madam, before I leave, you see, there have been a lot of talk on the security situation. And I think 3rd or 4th day in the office, unfortunate incident took place at Gwadar. So 2nd day I was in Gwadar. And first of all, I would like to mention my own experience, through my involvement in the various project development, firstly at Angro and second one at HUBCO. So I was very fortunate to develop projects or really, stay very engaged up to $5 billion. So that was my personal involvement in the development execution. And one of the greatest projects, Samad was my partner, and we shared those, cherishing times together. So what had happened, that CPAC project security responsibility is Pakistan Army. So there are 2 divisions, thousands of our Jawans and the very senior officials are responsible. When we started our project, which is, you see, $2 billion project at Hub, I remember that there was a call from Southern Command, and General Amir Rayas. Amir Rayas called me, and he first of all wanted to hear that you are putting up imported coal waste project, and he said, I'm apprehensive because coal is a bad guy, etc. So I had to really give him the detailed presentation that state-of-the-art technologies are being incorporated. Done. This is the last comment only. So he said, CPAC project responsibility of Pakistan Army, and all the projects so far which are within the battery limit or within the boundaries, they have not been a single incident. Great job done. So 2 incidents which took place, Dasu and then subsequently at Gwadar, that took place at the outside. There's a moving target, etc. But anyway, extremely detailed, presentations were given by Pakistan Navy and then Pakistan Army in Gwadar, then military operation, etc. And now, they have revised the, security protocol, that if the execution is being done not in a confined space, but you see in the outside, how it is going to be upgraded. So we consolidated all that feedback, went to Chinese embassy, gave them the presentation, and they were extremely satisfied. So security of CPAC project or the Chinese company is in very safe hand. And with my personal experience, I can tell you that, you can't have a better security arrangement as is being done by Pakistan Navy and Pakistan Army. Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much, sir.